And I have to wonder, with recent comments from Ewan McGregor that he wants to do more Clone Wars Obi-Wan, and the fact Lucasfilm went to these lengths to give us artwork with Ariana Greenblatt's version of Ahsoka, are they setting us up for more live-action Clone Wars in Ahsoka Season 2? Or maybe its own series? Is that something Dave Filoni wants to do? Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another very exciting Star Wars video. Secrets of the Clone Troopers, the brand new book, which has revealed some enormous details about clones we love, and the Clone Wars in general. A couple of days ago, I covered the section on Captain Rex. The book has been getting a bit of flack. As always with Star Wars, there is always a new controversy, but we're gonna steer well clear of it. Instead, let's talk about some substantive things the book reveals. And I want to start with one of the most important, underrated Jedi in terms of the clone story, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas. A brand new look at him. Captain Rex says this about him: Jedi Master Sifo Dyas had a terrifying vision. Long before clone troopers were even an idea, the galaxy was protected by the Jedi. They were knights from an ancient religion who were able to commune with a mystical energy known as the Force. Though the Jedi maintained order for centuries, one of their members, Master Sifo Dyas, had a vision of a great conflict to come, one the Jedi couldn't face alone. He advocated for the creation of a grand army of the Republic, but his fellow Jedi deemed the idea too extreme and removed Sifo Dyas from the council. That didn't stop him from taking matters into his own hands. If the stories I've heard are accurate, it was Sifo Dyas who reached out to the Kaminoans about creating an army of clones, apparently without the knowledge of the Republic or the Jedi. The poor fella didn't live long enough to see his plan come to fruition, but lucky for us, other forces took control of it and hijacked the cloning project. The man responsible was Count Dooku, and his master Darth Sidious. There was still one big catch. Most folks had no idea we'd been created, but that changed when Jango Fett hired another bounty hunter, Zam Wesell, to assassinate Senator Padme Amidala. When the attempt failed, Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi came to Kamino looking for Fett. He was shocked to find the creation of the clone army. The book also gives us a shocking new look at some of the events from the Clone Wars, replacing the animated Ahsoka with the likeness of Ariana Greenblatt, who played young Ahsoka in Ahsoka Season 1 in the World Between World flashbacks. We have a new look at her fights with Maul, removing Rex's inhibitor chip, and even Anakin versus Sindralig in the Jedi Temple. Not to mention a look at Kellerin Beck and Grogu. This book, despite its reputation, has some real gems, but something that really shocked me: Order 66, the Great Jedi Purge initiated by Darth Sidious. The Bad Batch, flashbacks in Kenobi, The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett have really expanded it, but a question so many Star Wars fans have, especially in the Disney Star Wars era, is why were there so many Jedi survivors? The argument goes that with every new confirmed survivor in the comics or TV shows, the emotional weight of the purge is diminished. If too many Jedi survived, it makes Order 66 feel like a less galaxy-altering event. But remember guys, even if the number of Jedi who survived is in the hundreds, it's still a tiny percentage of the 10,000 plus Jedi who died, so it's still a tiny fraction. But the book addresses this. The Secrets of the Clone Troopers, an in-universe perspective from Captain Rex, features a section on Order 66, where he mentions that in spite of the inhibitor chips, some clones tried to resist, and even if they didn't, their hesitation gave some Jedi enough time to escape. Here is the exact quote: "Even though Order 66 was designed to be a directive that we couldn't resist, not every clone ended up pulling the trigger," and he makes it very clear he's not just talking about the Bad Batch. He says, quote, "Others were simply strong enough to resist, at least until their Jedi generals could escape." So that means that some of the clones did hesitate at first, kind of like Captain Rex with Ahsoka before she removed his chip. And even if some of those clones went on to try and kill those Jedi, the moment of hesitation gave the Jedi and their Padawans a chance, which explains why so many survived, and further gives an explanation for why some of those Order 66 survivors have felt so random. It shows us, even in line with George Lucas, that the process of Order 66 was more chaotic and complex than we thought, and the book alludes to many more Jedi than we know having survived. But it shouldn't be too surprising. This subtle retcon has been coming for quite some time. It fits in with some of the shows we've seen. Order 66, from the perspective of Sidious, was still a success. The genocide of the vast majority of the Jedi, catching most of them off guard. Even if 2% of the Jedi survived, that still means over 9,800 Jedi were killed, and most of them pretty instantaneously. This is one of the major reveals from the book, but there are others too. We got our first quote-unquote live-action Temuera Morrison versions of clones we've only seen in animated form. For instance, Hauser from the Bad Batch, Jesse, look how menacing he looks, Wolf, and Cuts Laquain, the latter being one of my absolute favourite clones, and I loved that they incorporated him in the Bad Batch's first season. First appearing in the Clone Wars Season 2, Cuts was a clone who deserted the Grand Army of the Republic. He had a family, he married a Twi'lek named Sue, and adopted her children. He wanted to live a simple life, free of violence, free of war, and the rigid structure of the Republic, and later the Empire. In the Bad Batch's second ever episode, Cut and Run, the Bad Batch is trying to figure out their place in the galaxy after the end of the Clone Wars. They visit Cut on Seleucami. He teaches Hunter about parenthood. In the episode, Hunter initially tries to leave Omega with Cut, thinking she'd be safer with him and his family. But, as we know, Omega chooses to stay with the Batch. Due to Imperial occupation, Cut flees Seleucami. This is a clone that lives into the Mandoverse era, and he looks absolutely amazing in live action. And speaking of clones who live into the New Republic, who I would love to see in the Mandoverse, this version of Wolf is my favourite. Come on, Lucasfilm, what are you doing? Temuera Morrison is right there. Let him play these characters. And I say this because the book also suggests, despite Gregor's death, Rex and Wolf do not retire after Endor. They're still fighting. So I'm hoping we see in Ahsoka's second season them fighting alongside General Syndulla, or in The Mandalorian and Grogu alongside Zeb, Carson Tava, Din and Grogu, as they seek to track down various remnants. The Clone Wars, Bad Batch and Rebels may have come to an end, but there are still so many surviving clones during the time period that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are exploring. One has to assume Omega is at the top of that list. She joined the Rebel Alliance, so who's to say she's not part of the New Republic? But I've got to say, my dear friends, unfortunately not the entire book puts a smile on my face. One part is really sad. Can you guess it? No, it's not the bit about fives. It's the section about Tech. They worded it with the most tragic ending. Here's what it says. Tech's matter-of-fact nature and general lack of emotion often rubbed folks the wrong way. But once you got to know him, you realised that he didn't mean any harm, and that he would give anything for those he cared about, even his life. Now that is a real heart-wrencher. It's a tearful tribute, but I'm happy it's there. If you wanted any information about what happens to Echo after the Bad Batch, it's left very open-ended. They can't confirm anything because, at the end of the day, Lucasfilm Animation is working on something. We don't know what that's going to be, but it might be a Clone Rebellion show, so I think there is more to come, and they don't want to catch themselves contradicting something, which could later be retconned. But my favourite reveal from this book is Star Wars teasing more Captain Rex. He says this: the war against the Empire may be over, but a good soldier knows there's plenty of work left to be done after the last shots are fired. My rebel friends and I are still picking up the pieces, but as far as we can tell, Palpatine is gone for good. In light of the sequels, that aged badly. I guess that's the point. So I might make another video about this book if another relevant topic arises, but that will pretty much do it for this video, my dear friends. What do you make of all of the reveals? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you enjoy this one? If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check me out on socials, check out our Patreon linked down below, and I'll see you in the next video. May the Force be with you, always.